Well, it's the 7th day of Christmas, and Arlen sends his apologies. He couldn't make it. He said he was mugged on the way home from the prosthetic place and somebody took his prosthesis. He said he's at the police station filling out a report and they won't let him leave. So what are we going to do on day 7 for the people that remain on our list? These are the unimportant people because you already got the presents for the people you like long before now. So it's day 7 and what are you going to get? Well, there's a trick I'm going to tell you about. This is a no-brainer because I know you're already buying MF12s from Pergear for everybody on your list. The good thing is, if you buy them for non-photographers, they look at them, they don't know what to do with them, and they usually give them back to you. So if you play your cards right, you can end up with a dozen of these just after Christmas. So give these to everybody. Don't forget to get them from Pergear because they're the nice people that let us have these in the first place. But a question has been coming up, as questions do. People who have bought a bunch of these, 4 of them, 3 of them, 2 of them, 5 of them, that kind of bunch, are using them to great creative effect, but they're realizing quite quickly that when they want their background lit, they don't want to use 2 of these because you really need to use 2 to get a very even backlight. So I've been thinking, what would be the best way to light the background? Because a lot of the time you do want to light the background. It's the best way to get a nice colorful background. Even if it's out of focus, it can still be lit. So I was thinking about all the offerings that Godox has, and I've decided to make a recommendation for one of them in particular, and it's this one. This is the TT 685N Mark II. You know, they've got a lot of different numbery sounding names that are very confusing. If they called this one like Eric, everybody would know that's an Eric. But you'll forget this number if you don't write it down. So write it down, TT 685 Mark II N. N if you're Nikon, S if you're Sony. You know what it is if you're Canon? Guess. C. You were wrong, but nice try. Then they also have them for Micro Four Thirds. Is that what it's called? I think so, yeah. And there's one other. What am I forgetting? Oh, the one I've got, Fuji. Okay, so you can get them for all of those. The TT685, well, let me tell you what it is. It's not one of these. It's not a TT600. It does have the TT in it, though. Likewise, it's not the V860 Mark II. That's closer, though, isn't it? To get most of the number right. So what's the difference? It's probably time we sorted this out. What is the difference between this and why am I recommending it over either of these two? Well, this one I'm not recommending because all of mine broke. This is the last one standing. I had 4 of these and 3 of them broke, so I'm not recommending it. I think there was something wrong with this particular model, or the 4 I got anyway. And yeah, it's a perfectly good flash, and they worked for years and years before they broke. This one, on the other hand, is a fantastic flash. It's a very all-round flash. It does everything that you want a flash to do. It's very powerful. It lasts for donkey's years with this big old battery pack it has in it. It goes all day. But it was turned on, which is good because that means it turned itself off. That's why the battery wasn't dead. Anyway, this is a great flash for almost everything you use flash for. I mean, they make a bigger one than this that has a round top and a bigger battery capacity and everything. But as far as speed lights go, this is their best one, I think. I love this speed light. It's good for everything. It has a guide number of about 200, just under 197. And it lasts forever, the batteries do. And it does everything that you would expect a modern flash to do. It's got the 2.4 gigahertz radio in it, and it's wonderful. But it's also got a lot of stuff you don't need if you're a macro photographer and you want something reliable to light the background. And that's why this, which is $170, $180 a piece for these, is a lot of money to pay for something that you're not going to use. So if you're like me and you want to have one or two macro lights that stay in your macro studio and you use them primarily for backdrop or other, from time to time effects, this is now my favorite for it. The difference, as far as I can tell, the only difference between this, the Mark II, I've already forgotten the number, 685, and the Mark III 680, which is the flagship one now, is that they use the battery packs, whereas this doesn't have an openable door. There it is. These use Eneloops. So that's a big difference, but it's not a bad difference. Now, if these were just any old batteries, I would say that's a problem, and you'd want to go with the one with a battery pack. But these Eneloops, they last all day long. They're fantastic. The black ones, not the white ones. And this is what I'm perfectly happy using this for the background. You're never going to have the background on more than about, I don't know, 8th or 16th at the most power. Usually 64th or 32nd. And that means they'll flash for all day long without waning on you. Did you know that these super expensive black batteries that are the most expensive I've ever bought, like they're $50 for a packet of 10 of them, these batteries have less energy in them than a regular battery that you throw away when you're done with it. That's a non-rechargeable battery. Well, these are 1.2 volts, whereas the ones that you throw away are 1.5 volts, which is why my Christmas lights got brighter. I discovered that. So I replaced them with throwaway batteries, and now they'll glow until they don't glow anymore, and then I have to throw them away. That's a distraction, isn't it? I shouldn't be talking about that. I should talk about this. This light is also powerful. It has a guide number of 197 feet at an ISO of 100. It also zooms. It's got a very capable zoom head that will give you anywhere from 20 at the closest up to 200. In macro, especially for backgrounds, you want to be shooting with it on 20. You want the widest spread of the light that you can get. And there's actually a lens in here that moves backwards and forwards to change the spread of the light. Now, there's not much else about this that you won't find on all their full-featured flashes. It is 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi radio. It has the radio in it, and it's compatible with the X system. And it has options for power that some of the others don't. It has a plug-in for a battery pack. It even has a USB-C hole there, which is actually not for charging. It's for updating the firmware, if you ever have to do that. What else has it got? Batteries that we know about. And then it's got a little window doodad down here at the bottom, which is where you can plug in one of their battery packs. They've got specific battery packs that are for these. And any of you who are concerned, say you're having to use this at full power, and you don't think a set of batteries will last, get a battery pack, plug it in there, and then you'll be set. The reason I say do all of that is because this is only $100, which is, about half, well, a bit more than half of getting the big one. And this is all the light you're ever going to need back there. So it's just a cheaper way of getting a reliable light. This also is almost as capable as that in that it can be a commander. What does Godox call them? A chief, a captain. It can be in control of the other flashes, or it can be a slave to other flashes. And that's pretty nifty because that means you can use it any way you want. You can control the whole lighting from one of these, or you can let your X trigger do the control and let this just follow along. It has 4 channels and 32 groups. That's backwards. You knew that. It has 32 channels, of which you only get to pick 1, and it has 4 groups, of which you should be in 1. And it works just like the others. One really nifty thing that they've done is they've done away with the screw thing that I never liked, even on other, just never liked that. They've gone with this, which is it's broken, which is you have to press that button to turn it. It's a locking twisty. I can't make it go back the other way though. There you go. You have to press that, I think. It's fantastic. It just is a quick and easy, except undoing it's quite difficult. It's actually a button right there. That gray thing, you don't press it going that way. Hear that? Yep. And then you press the button to come back, and that comes right off. I love that. That is so much nicer. I don't know if it's more durable, but it's great. Okay, so let me tell you just a little bit about this because there's something interesting on it. Shall I turn it on so you can see the lights and everything? It's just like all the other Godoxes, which means it's not very easy to understand if you read the book. You just have to use it and talk to somebody who knows how to use it, and then you'll be okay. Like all their other new flashes, the menu items now appear on the screen, which means these buttons are multi-function buttons, which does make it more confusing, definitely. That's it, going flash right there. As with the others, you can cycle through the different radio modes to get the interface that you like to use. It has TTL. This also has high-speed sync, and you can shoot with this up to about 1/8,000th of a second, which is impressive. Your menu is like on the MF12. You go through it and you change things like how long the standby is. I'm not going to teach you how to use it in this video. I'm just going to tell you to buy it, either for a photographer or not. You know the routine there. So there is a mode on this flash that has perplexed me since I first saw it. It's showing up on the new flashes, and it's called TCM. I didn't know if that meant Turner Channel Malaise, possibly, or Tasty Cranberry Muffin, or Totally Cryptic Mystery. But it's some kind of a mode. It's TCM. And I had to do some research, some extensive research, actually, which is reading the manual that comes with it. And it turns out that TCM, according to this, is TTL converted to manual. That's what TCM stands for. TTL converted to manual. Now, the way I think about it is if the thing's on TTL, then it's on. You could say it's on TTL. But if it's not on TTL, it's off. Why can't you just say it's off? Have on and then off. TCM is just going to confuse people. They're going to want to know, oh dear, I don't know what to do with TCM. Do you use TCM? I don't know what it is. Right, so this needs to go. So I suggest you just cross it out with a marker. What does that even mean? TTL converted to manual. TTL turned off. Well, it should be off. You're a macro photographer. Another thing they changed is, see this? It goes from -7 degrees to 130 degrees. That's a lot of excursion. But you want to know something else? Look at this. Of course, they all do that, don't they? But they don't do this. Look at this. It stops only 30 degrees shy of going full Linda Blair on you. It could almost do the whole head spin around thing, but it stops right there before it can get there. But that's impressive. Godox, you need to put in more effort into this. We want to see this go full 360 by next year, okay? So what else? 330 full power flashes. I believe it. I believe it will do that on one battery charge, which is good. It has, the power goes from full power to 1/128th power, and each power is divided by 3. So you get the usual +3, +7, and then on to the next level. I think the only thing that I forgot to mention was under the little door for the power, there's actually a 2.5mm jack right there, which is handy if you ever use a wired setup. And I do. I use a wired setup when I use one of these on my camera. I don't actually have it in the hot shoe. I have it on a bracket above the hot shoe so that I can angle it down, which means it's not connected. And the only way I can use this on a camera without having triggers everywhere is just to run a wire from the remote port on my camera straight into there. So that's handy. You should always make sure that your flash has got that available to you. So this is a great Christmas present for anybody anybody. Just give it to anybody and see what happens. You may get lucky, may come back to you. So buy 1 or 2 of these. If you're a macro person and you're serious about it, I'd buy 2. Not so much because you'll necessarily use them all the time, but if you don't buy 2, you'll decide you need 2 next year and they won't make this anymore. So you'll have to get a different one and then they won't work together. They'll have changed something. It'll be 2.41 gigahertz and they won't play together. So buy 2 of them and put one of them up for a rainy day. Now, whose job was it to remind me to tell you about books in the last 2 videos? Because you failed us all badly. But I'm over it. You're forgiven. So books. I'm just going to do these at random. And these are books that you should buy, people, because they're good Christmas presents. This is a classic. I still use this one. It's the Peterson Field Guide to Insects. Frankly, it's fairly boring. It doesn't have nice photographs in it. It has beautiful line drawings, but it has lots of really, really good information. Some of it outdated. There's some of the species names have changed, and they haven't come and repaired my book yet. So I still have the old version of it. So this is a good one to have. It's cheap. It's more like a real handbook. It's got everything in it. It's just, yeah, there you go. It's even got a fungus weevil, which I was going to show you a picture of today. Yeah, you ever seen a fungus weevil? It's going to blow you away. The fungus weevil looks like a person with really bad acne who's bought a big jumper so that he can keep his head down in it so his spots don't show. I mean, seriously, that's what it looks like, because this thing has got some troubled skin. Another book. Here's a fantastic book. If you've never been myxomyceting in the woods, you need to. It's a good Christmas hobby to do. Myxomycetes are a strange group of creatures that aren't plants or animals or funguses. They're something else. They're a myxomycete. And they occur in rotten wood. And this book is everything you would ever want to know, which may in your case be absolutely nothing, in which case don't buy the book. But for me, a good friend of mine gave me this because she's encouraging me to get into myxomycetes, and I'm certainly doing that. I found one and then killed it. So this book, Myxomycetes, a handbook of slime molds, sounds like it might be a bit dry and sciencey, but it's not. It's a really good book. It's a really good read by Stephen Stevenson. That's a funny name. You've got to admit, 2 Stevens in it. They probably call him Steve, you know? They'd be right. And then Henry Stempen is the other chap. It could be a woman, but I think it's a chap that wrote this. Alison Pollock gave me this because she's a good person and she's a myxomycete lover. And she has encouraged me to get out there and find these things and photograph them. I can't even spell them yet, but yeah. I'll do that. Their life cycle, it's bizarre, but well worth a read. So if you want an intelligent book about slime molds, which you probably don't already have, get this one, Myxomycetes, A Handbook of Slime Molds. And then if you ever meet Alison, you've got something you can talk to her about. Slime molds, you'll know all about it. One more book. If you're an idiot like my brother, but you're trying to learn electronics and you don't know a volt from a hole in the ground, get this book. I got this book because my brother's an idiot and I wanted to be able to tell him things about electricity, but I didn't know enough about it myself. So I got this book, and it looks like a children's book and like it's for simpletons. It's not. It's actually full of really useful information. Would you like me to read you some? Because I'm not going to. I have trouble reading. There's bits of food in here. I don't know who's been eating on my book, but it wasn't me. So this is a wonderful book. It's really useful. If you're a gadgety kind of inventor-ish person like I am, this is really handy stuff to have around so you know what you're doing as you electrocute yourself, which is what I use this for mainly. So there's two good books, Myxomycetes and Electronics. I'll put these in the show notes, as well as how to go over to Pergear and get your flashes. Thanks to Pergear for letting me show you this one. And yeah, that's it. 7 days of Christmas already. The first week of Christmas over. Well, you know what tomorrow is? 8th day of Christmas. Yeah, just figure it out. I mean, you don't need it written down. All right, happy 7th day of Christmas. I'll see you tomorrow.